I made a big financial mistake. I know. Yes, it's a BMW. There's nothing surprising here. Now, I bought this car off the auction in the condition you see it right now for $19,000 winning bid, which is honestly a really good price for this being a 2023 with only 4,000 miles. I hate to admit it, but I have to admit it. I think I bit off a bit more than I can chew with this BMW right behind me. It's not often I can say those words, but with this BMW, I've encountered some surprises I've never been hit with before. I've done this multiple times, and honestly, I'm not too afraid. I can tackle this entire thing, make it look brand new. But what does scare me is that I might have to pull this B58 with only 4,000 miles out of this thing and potentially rebuild it or swap it. I don't even know, but that's what's scaring me because I've never ever torn a motor out of a vehicle, let alone a 2023, let alone without much tools or a shop. So in this episode, we're gonna decide, is this motor good to rebuild? Do we have to replace it? Can we save it? What is all that rod knock? I don't know, let's figure it out. Don't get me wrong, I am prepared for the absolute worst. And the absolute worst is I have to change the engine here because it's just not salvageable. I guess anything worse than that is having to change the transmission with the engine because that's just gonna cost an absolute fortune. But what we gotta do right now is figure out what that noise is because I honestly have no idea. It might be something simple like an exhaust leak. For us to diagnose the B58, I have a couple of tools. I have my Autel here that I can do some live readings on and see the check engine lights. Now I do have a compression tester as well because I want to make sure all 6 cylinders have good solid compression. And this is a torque wrench alongside with some bearings and new flange sealant for the oil pan. Got some new bolts as well for the connecting rods. So got all that, got a spark plug tool. We're gonna go ahead and first things first, check the compression because if the compression is not good, that means I have to tear this engine out 100% because I'm not gonna be driving a B58 with low compression, especially if I wanna get around 700 wheel horsepower with this thing. While the engine is cold, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the spark plugs and see if we can get a reading on all 6 cylinders and cross my fingers that they are all consistent and all up to standard.
Now removing the spark plugs on this engine is very simple. First take off the coil packs and then you have clear access to the spark plugs, so just unscrew them.
These spark plugs are literally brand new. Like, look at that. They barely have any wear on them. 4,000 miles, what do you expect? Now we need to pop our kit out here that we have and find the exact same thread. That one's too big. This one looks like, yeah, that's the one right here. Put this on this right here. Tighten it, and then this goes to the gauge. Now we should be able to screw this into the motor, crank it a couple times, and it should show us our compression right over here.
Unfortunately, that piece did not fit because this is a BMW. That's why there's a special spark plug key because it's thin walled.
All right, go ahead and crank the engine. Get the key in the right. Crank it and then quit the crank. One more. All right, good. Hey, yo, we almost at 200 PSI. Yo, I don't know what the factory spec is, but that's a good one. I'll tell you that much. All right, well, that's good compression, that one for sure.
At the time that I was doing the compression test on this engine, I didn't know how much PSI the engine needed. I went ahead and redid all the compression testing off camera, and all 6 cylinders did a 210 PSI, which in the video I say they do about 190.
This is the last one. They are all right under 200, about 190. So let's see this one. It seems like all of our compression is good. All our spark plugs are fine. Let's see if I can get access to this one. Look at that, right under 200, about 190, 180. So all 6 are solid. I guess that's a relief of some sort. I don't know what kind, but yeah. I put the coil packs back on. It starts like a charm. I don't have a check engine light, but I'm gonna go ahead and scan it and maybe do a live data or clear all the fault codes and just see what the heck is going on if we have any check engine lights. 129 fault codes. We're gonna go ahead and clear everything. Half the car is assembled. There's no airbags or anything, so I'm not too worried, but quick erase from 161 codes. See where we're gonna be left off with. We are down to 28 DCTs, which is errors. Obviously airbags, you can tell airbags are blown, there's no airbag here. Body, domain controller is that output brake light, okay, yeah, mirror, so the body, obviously it's wrecked. Camera, top view camera left, I guess that's yes, so cameras, sensors. This all makes sense, bro. That's it. Okay. So we don't have a check engine light. We really don't. I mean, it's running fine. Now once the car warms up, I'm gonna get closer with the camera and the microphones to the knocking noise. I think I'm gonna pick the car up and see if I can get like some kind of stethoscope or something, get my ear real close to the bottom or to wherever that sound is coming from, because some people say it could be an exhaust leak that literally sounds like a knock. I don't know. Let's go ahead and pick this car up while it's warming up and take a good look under. The noise is inside this column here. Now the turbo is right there. The noise that's on top, that light ticking noise, that's normal. Once the cover goes on, it goes away completely. But that's not the noise I'm worried about. When we go under the vehicle, you can hear a very interesting noise. Sounds like it's coming from somewhere here. To make sure I'm not delusional and I'm hearing random things, I'm gonna get Danny to go under and just hear where that sound, where he thinks that sound is coming from. Listen closely. Don't be sticking your fingers in no belts though. Yo, chill. Do it again?
Yeah, it's right here.
Right in the middle?
Yep.
It's exactly where I pointed to. Well, we've confirmed one thing. This motor needs new rod bearings at the least. This is the conclusion we came to. Now I hope we make no mistake with this conclusion. You guys know we have brand new rod bearings. And I spoke with my father, the wisest man on earth, and he said that there's a high probability of this engine here being completely safe. Now here's the conclusion. We're gonna drop the oil pan once again. We're gonna check the rod bearings out and the crankshaft. Now if the crankshaft has no damage, we're gonna go ahead and put brand new rod bearings in there and absolutely cross our hands, fingers, and toes that this engine is gonna be safe. But in order to do that, we need to get a cherry picker because we no longer have neighbor Dave with a engine hoist. So let's go to the store and get everything done what we just spoke about. Good old Harbor Freight. I love you, Harbor Freight. Cheap and good, you know? It's the one right here. $270, 1-ton foldable shop crane. Take one, please.
We officially secured our engine hoist. Now, Danny and I went back home and assembled this thing. It took us about 40 minutes. Unfortunately, there's no way to work around this engine hoist. So we had to get it, we had to pay the $300. We got the engine hoist, got it back to the house, got it mounted up to the engine, pulled the engine just a little bit up, just how we did previously. We were able to access everything we needed.
Okay, so I wanna do a quick, I wanna look at the oil, see if the oil has any metal shavings in it, which it might. Let's see how quick I am. Am I a master mechanic or am I not? Left hand, the other. Whoa! Oh, what the? Bro, I got it in my eye. I'm definitely not a master mechanic, but one thing for sure is this oil is brand new. It's got 0 miles on it. Interesting how thin the oil is. It's 0.20 on BMW, on this BMW. Can you imagine? 0.20. It's literally like water. Looks brand new to me. We can run a magnet. See if the magnet will pick up anything. Imagine I pull out a piston. Literally pull out a whole piston out of this thing right now. I ain't see nothing. Looks good from my house. Let's go ahead and pull off that oil pan. I told ya. Now, the problem is, it's really hard to get it out of here because there's like no room. Unless, oh, what the? I got it out this time. Somehow. So I've dropped the oil pan. Oil pan obviously sits and covers all of this. This here is gonna be your oil pump. This pumps oil throughout the entire engine. Now, I did put a little bit extra silicone sealant last time, but this time I will know not to do that. But I've kind of felt this chain, and something is sketching me out about this chain. You see how See how loose that is? That just doesn't even feel right. Maybe it's supposed to be like that. There's no tensioner here to tighten that chain. So maybe it's supposed to be like that, but look at that slack. Look at that play. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off and check out our rod bearings.
Yes, I know, it's much easier to get this job done when the car is on a twin post up in the air. Unfortunately, that's not the case right now. I'm working around the subframe and the steering rack trying to get the oil pump and the oil deflector off. It's a little tougher than it looks.
All right. I think this one might be the one that has the damaged rod bearing. Now, felt all of them for any kind of wiggle. Can't seem to get any wiggle out of them. So let's see. It's brand new. See it on camera?
Yeah.
It's literally brand new. There's zero scarring to the crankshaft as well. It's literally brand new. Like, I'm happy, but at the same time, I'm like, what in the world? You know, because it's not supposed to be brand new. It's making a knocking noise from something. Let's continue checking all of them. I am in disbelief right now because I've checked all 6 rod bearings and they are literally brand new. Well, sorry, I checked all 5. This is the 6th one here. Now, if this one has no scoring or any damage, you guys see it first prior to me, that means we have some... Oh my goodness, bro. It is brand new. Look. It has no damage. It has no damage. The whole entire crankshaft and all the rod bearings are brand new, literally with no wear on them. Like, this is 4,000 mile wear. Look at that. Hey, yo. Something flew in here. Anyways, all the rod bearings and the crankshaft has 0 wear on it. This is 4,000 mile wear. That's all it is. I am confused out of my brain right now because everything is perfect. Now, I have an idea what it could be. Since the noise was right here, this is exactly where the oil pump is. So maybe it's the oil pump. Пап, привет.
Привет, сынок.
Я тобі вислав відео. Я хочу, щоб ти подивився.
Now, as I was speaking to my father's been repairing engines for basically his entire life. As a matter of fact, back in Ukraine, he used to work as a machinist repairing crankshafts for vehicles. So he knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to engines. Now, I sent him a video of what's going on with my engine, and with the information we currently had, honestly, we couldn't really come to a conclusion on why it was knocking. So I just decided to continue digging in the engine.
So, I spoke with my father this morning, and last night I spoke with a different guy that rebuilds these B58s, and he said he's never seen that all the rod bearings are good. But he did tell me to check the crankshaft play front and back, and we have a little bit of play. You probably won't really see on camera. I will add a clip, but there's just a little bit of play. Now, my dad said that there's supposed to be a play tolerance of the thickness of a newspaper. Definitely, if it was a newspaper thickness, I would not have seen that play. But I can physically see the crank move, so I don't think that's good. I think there's a main bearing right in the middle right here. I'm trying to unscrew it, and we'll see if that's good or not. Now, this is apparently the bearing that has a side-to-side, like front and back play. Because it has like little spacers or whatever. I don't even know. I don't know jack about engines, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you guys are watching a noob at this. Oh yeah, that's the one. Now let's see if it's in good condition. Bro, what? Let me see the actual crank. Bro, the crank has nothing either. I'm feeling it, it's like smooth. There's nothing my nail catches on. There's nothing my nail catches on here. Well, that means we gotta call Pops again, because Pops is gonna be like, yo, what's going on with your engine, boy? You got no problems, put it together. I'm slowly starting to understand how an engine works, or just how the bottom end of the bearings and stuff like that work. This is the main bearing. Now this bearing here has a side-to-side adjustment as well, I guess you can say, or whatever this is called. Basically, these two on the sides are the ones that are in charge of crankshaft play front and back. This bearing sits in there like so. The crankshaft's, front and back. These are the ones that are in charge of the front and back play. This is in charge of the up and down play. Now, I don't think this is supposed to be like this. Definitely overheated. Definitely this is thinner than it should be. That's why we have play front and back. And that's perhaps why we even have a very interesting, what doesn't even sound like a knock. It almost sounds like a wobble of a noise. So I'm gonna go ahead and confirm with a couple of people and see if I can find the specs of the clearance of this and then measure it and see if we're in the correct zone of the clearance. But yeah, look at this. Take a look at this. It really like melted right there. You see that up there? You see it right there? It melted it. It's supposed to look like this. It's one piece. See? They don't come apart. Interesting.
So when the clearance is bad on those, it
On
will cause the crank to have play.
these.
And when there's play in the crank, you'll get a noise like the noise you're getting.
Got it. So the noise is not from like the bearing having up and down play. It's from the crank having front and back play, right? So that's why when I rev it, technically it kind of like, it basically smoothens out because maybe it has high RPM, so it spins more straighter.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Interesting. So you're saying that I can change the thrust bearing and it should be good, but to confirm it's better to rebuild the engine basically.
Yeah, that's basically, and you can do, there's no way to do the plastic gauge on those because that's for the main bearing, not the thrust washer.
Yeah, because you can't tighten it here.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think that one through.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, you could extend it with new thrust washers. If you still have the sound, then it's a rebuild. But like I said, it's a 50-50 chance. Whenever there's any problems with thrust washers or bearings, usually the motor gets rebuilt.
So let's do this. I'm gonna send it with thrust washers, and if it doesn't fix the sound, we're gonna rebuild it together.
Sounds good.
Sounds good? Alrighty, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. So keep updated.
Yeah, I'll stay in touch.
I went ahead and ordered the new upper and lower thrust washer / bearing from the dealer, and while I was waiting for those, I decided to do an in-depth parts list since I've committed to fixing this thing and I'm not gonna scrap it. I think it's time to challenge myself in some new territory since an engine rebuild on a car is something I've never done, and honestly it's something I've been extremely scared to do. I don't know why.
So we got the bearings ordered. Those should be here tomorrow. Went ahead and started doing a parts list. As you guys saw, ran into a little issue that I kind of forgot about, which is the steering rack. So come take a look inside here. The rack inside there is busted. You see it's cracked right in there? Right there. You see plastic is cracked? Yeah, right there. Yep. And the rack is about, I think $1,800 if I recall correctly. It's a very expensive rack. I don't want to spend that money. Part of being DIY is saving all the money you can, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull that rack out. I'm gonna test if everything works, there's no funny noises. I'm gonna try to replace just that top cap from like a BMW M240 or possibly buy a broken rack, see if I can only replace that black top piece. Let's pull that rack out. It's pretty simple, 4 bolts and then the 2 tie rods. And then the one that connects to the steering wheel, we'll get it all out. Don't ever get the words simple and easy confused. It may be simple because the task itself is simple, but it's definitely not an easy task. Had to remove both the tie rod ends, then the piece that goes up to the steering wheel. Once all that was removed, remove the electrical components from the engine of the steering rack, and then I had to wiggle around the steering rack quite some time before I was able to get it out from the subframe. I actually had to remove both the tie rod ends just to get it out because there was no room to go either way. But anyways, we're trying to save as much money as possible since we kind of ran into that unfortunate case with the engine. Alrighty, so that was a lot more annoying than we wanted it to be. Now, if we did our math correct, I honestly think this rack has to come out with the subframe. I forgot to do my triceps. Do you think this is changeable? Because I ain't trying to pay. I even forgot how much it was. It was like anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for this rack. I don't know, some specialty rack, but I think it's the same one that goes on G80 M3. I think. I'm not sure 100%, but I think. Just hoping that we can do some hacking here. But I also hope that it's not damaged inside here, you know? Oh, it comes off. Look at that. Yo, we might be onto something here. If this is not damaged and this is not bent, shoot, it looks bent, dude. It really looks bent.
They're great for that.
That's what I thought. Like, yo, what is that? Oh, great. I don't think it's a good rack. It's bent. Look at that. Bro, it's so bent.
This is Jonathan calling from BMW, so just to let you know how I can park there here.
Oh, awesome. The rod bearings?
Yep, rod bearings and the bolts.
Sounds good. I'll be on my way.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
That's the one. Got our new main bearings. We're hoping this is the issue. I did want to update you guys on the steering rack. This piece right here, I've been doing my research trying to find something fairly cheap. Unfortunately, I can't just change this top plastic piece and call it good because this is completely bad, as you guys saw. I ended up finding one on eBay, and I'm just gonna hope it's gonna fit and be the correct one, but according to the numbers here, it's the correct one. And it was only $273 after shipping and everything, which is extremely cheap. So I'm hoping that fits. Right here, I have a micrometer. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and measure these thrust washers or thrust bearings and see if they're the same thickness as the used ones I have in the vehicle. And if they're the same thickness, I mean, we're kind of screwed. I just don't know if this is accurate enough or like if this is this precise enough to do the measurement that we need. 2.39, that's on this one. So one of these right here, 239, it's the same, bro. 239, 238, 238. Let's see this one. 239, 239, 238, 239. Now let's see this one. 239, 239, 240, 238, 239, 238, 239. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and slap these bearings in. I'm not gonna tighten the main cap just yet. I'm just gonna put it up there and just roughly tighten it and see if we still have that same crankshaft play. Because I don't know if this is accurate, honestly. I'm not a mechanic when it comes to the engine stuff. So let's figure it out. By this point, I was absolutely crushed. I really thought that this issue was the thrust washers. After measuring and seeing that they're the identical size as the new ones, I still had a incy bit of hope in me that maybe something might change when I install them. I put the main cap back on, put the bolts back on, put everything together, and unfortunately, that was not the issue. Yeah, there's play, but I just don't know where the play is coming from because that's the only thrust washers there is on this thing. I'm out of ideas. I really don't know what is going on. All the main bearings, all the rod bearings, thrust bearing, everything is perfect. It's literally perfect. It does not look like it starved 1 second of oil. Like, it's perfect. Not a single scratch, nothing my nail can click on or anything. Now, this is one of the things we think that can be making a noise because the noise was like right here from under the vehicle. It's $1,000 for this part, or like $800 some. Drill setup. I don't want to run this pump dry, so I'm going to do it pretty quick. I don't think that's healthy for the pump. I don't know how to diagnose the pump. I don't know if I want to tear it apart, and if I do tear it apart, how can I tell what is broken in there? So, bro, I don't even know what to do anymore. Engine is good, right? Compression, bottom end is good. This, I don't know what's going on. I'm just in a loss for words. I'm gonna make some phone calls. And I literally just won the absolute gnarliest build probably on my channel. Stay tuned. I got enough courage to take this apart. Hopefully nothing blows up. It's the wrong size.
Is this because you want it? Right?
Just because I want it, man. I was depressed right before this. No, but get apart. You got to make sure that all the bolts come off, you know? Yo, look at that, bro. It just pushes oil around. See? What a system. Don't see anything here, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. That's not falling out, right? Ooh, I feel a shaft or something. Let's see how this works. What these things are. I told you guys, my father is the smartest man ever. on this planet Earth.
All right, well, I don't think this is bad at all. Yeah, there's no failure in this thing.
It's literally impossible for it to fail. Hello, I am now an official oil pump rebuilder. Please hire me for any of your needs. Bye now. I have no idea. I've collectively spent probably 10 hours under the car just looking and feeling and touching and just trying to see what the heck is that noise. I have no idea. Literally everything is new. I've took off all the rod bearings, all the main bearings, checked everything. Everything is good. Now, this is where you guys are probably going to step in and say, hey, Tim, you're stupid. This is probably the issue here and here. But I have no idea what it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reassemble everything. I'm going to start the car. And in my head, I'm going to cancel out the fact that it's a rod knock and see if I can find the noise coming in anywhere from the exhaust or anywhere. My dad also did mention saying that it could be coming from one of the accessories on the belt, the alternator, the AC compressor, any of that. He said he had one car that did that, and he was like, it was the weirdest thing in the world. But I mean, the AC compressor, I think it's a little damaged, so that maybe a 1% chance of that happening. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and torque everything back down, put everything back on. We have the steering rack off the vehicle right now. That way we have a better access to the oil pan. And yeah, because anything after this is probably just pull the motor and strip it. I have no idea what it is. I honestly don't know. I'm out of ideas fully. Please step in the comment section and just start blasting away. I mean, making fun of me, I don't know, whatever it is. I need to get this thing fixed. Confused out of my mind, I went ahead and set my torque wrench up to the proper torque specs, sat down on my little crawler, and just rolled under the car to assemble everything. Got new bolts as well from the dealer because these are stretch bolts and they are only one-time use. So we have this torque wrench set to 20 Newton meters, and it has angle as well. So we'll get it up to 20 right there. Get the other bolt to 20. And 20 right there. Now we go back to the first bolt, crank it 70 degrees. So let's see. This torque wrench should scream at me. Ah, I ran out of room.
It restarts.
Yeah, it restarts. I was at
55.
55, so see if we can get 15 in there. That should be 70. Yeah, we're gonna redo this one again. So I went ahead and redid that rod cap just because I wanted to do a single motion 70-degree turn. I don't know if it makes a difference, but for the comfort and for the peace of mind for myself, that's what I did. Once I got that one done, I went ahead and finished the rest of the rod caps, and once those were done, I went ahead and transferred on to the main caps. Main caps had different torque specs. I think they were 25 and 60 degrees. So a little bit of different torque spec is very crucial to have the proper torque spec because these things have clearances that need to be absolutely perfect. Next was to prep the oil pan, get all that degreased and cleaned out. There's no shavings or any kind of garbage inside there. Prep the oil pan with some new silicone from BMW. Once that was all prepped out, I was able to go up under the vehicle, slap that piece on, and screw on the 100E8, I think they're called, bolts on, which took absolutely forever. But yeah. After the oil pan is on, I went ahead and checked the oil filter just to confirm that there's no shavings, it's not deteriorated or broken of any sort. After that, we put on the spark plugs, and the last and final piece was the coil packs and the air box. Alright boys, it's about 12 o'clock at night. You tired? I'm exhausted. Got everything back on, spark plugs back in, air box, oil filter, everything, or oil pan, everything torqued down to spec. Like I said, I think the motor is good. Don't know. We even checked the clearance on the thrust bearing and it was within spec, which is this feeler gauge right here. So I don't know, we're gonna hook up the battery and crank this thing, warm it up, and see if we can dismiss the engine and see if the noise is anywhere else. Vehicle is missing key, homie, it's right here. Just, get the oil up in there. You know, get the oil everywhere. Now we need to get it to warm up in order for us to hear that sound, so give it a couple minutes. The noise is back. See this right here goes in the oil pan. I'm just gonna go ahead and test fit this, put it on, and see if the noise goes away, because up here you can really hear the injector tick, and then once you put the cover on, it's gone. You know, like you can very, very faintly hear it. Maybe it's the same with this, but before that, I'm gonna get under there, give it a good listen. Right here. Well, we've confirmed something. I stuck my head up to a screwdriver and I put the screwdriver onto the oil pan right where roughly cylinder 5-4 is, like right where the oil pan is, and I felt a physical knock. And when Danny was revving the car, it was knocking even faster. So it's definitely a knock of some sort. Don't know what kind, but you know what that means?
On the motor.
Exactly what we didn't want to do. We've done everything to not pull the motor, but it seems like we have to pull the motor. So we're going to be exploring new territory. With that being said, smash the like button. I'm going to sleep. Peace.